Hi. So I'm sitting down with sitting in two separate places, but but sitting down nonetheless with Daniel Block, who is the CEO of Cesso Global, which is a really interesting blockchain startup who is working in the African market, creating a really interesting platform around land registries, but also an entire portion of the supply chain related to property management and or land title and managing the sales of properties. So, with that, maybe Daniel, can you start and just give us a little bit of a brief overview of what Cesso is, and maybe also just introduce yourself to everybody?
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Anne. Hi, my name is Daniel Block. I'm the CEO of Cesso Global. I am originally from Miami, Florida, in the USA, and my background is in blockchain development and products. I had a very early Bitcoin exchange launched in 2011, and from there, I set up a nonprofit, the Blockchain Education Network, to teach blockchain at university campuses. This is where I started working with blockchain groups in Ghana, Kenya, and seeing the opportunity and seeing how we could work together, to build out solutions beyond just the crypto space. And it really got me interested in, the ability for blockchain to have an impact on land tenure security, and grow real estate markets through providing trust in the documentation. I received a grant in 2014 to move to Ghana and work with the Ghana Land Registry on a digitization project using blockchain in a small pilot area in Accra. While in Ghana, I met my key team members, Kweku Essien, Ghanaian, born, grew up between Ghana and Canada, and really saw, some key issues in the land registry space and opportunities, and really following what's happening in Canada. How did they, digitize their registry, which Toronto has a great digital registry, and how that could be applied to Ghana. And my co-founder and CEO, Philip Jarman, who was in the wealth management space for many years at UBS, and had an understanding of challenges investing in property and holding real assets, property on the continent. So we decided to set up Cesso in 2017 as an integrated real estate solution, which is we see as a one-stop platform for secure real estate management and transaction. So what we're really trying to see, if you see on this property, is have a system where we can guarantee and provide trusted, verified properties with clean title, and build out a blockchain-based registry through transactions.
Yeah, that was great. So maybe can you talk a little bit about the challenges that you faced when you looked at the marketplace, and what the impact of those challenges are for people, and how maybe Sesso can impact the market and the lives of people?
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Good question. So, I kind of came to the problem from a general mindset of those working in the blockchain space, that really the key issue is that we have to digitize the registry, go to the government and scan the documents and put it on the blockchain. But what I learned in Ghana, in working with our team, is what we all found is that this is only a small subset of the problem. Um, that even with digitizing the registry, there are other clear issues of, are the property developers legitimate? Even if the property has good title, was it built sound? Because we have properties with good titles and they fall down. Is it able, when someone buys a property, to efficiently do registration post sale? And am I able to get mortgages? And so what we looked at is that there are so many different people in the property purchasing process. You might need a law firm to do the verification. You might need an architect to check on the building, a surveyor to make sure the title boundaries are correct, a valuer, and a bank to do the financing. And as you see, these issues are so extreme and so difficult to verify. This picture on the right is a common picture you'll see in Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, and throughout the emerging markets, where people write on their house, this land is not for sale. Um, and this is a last ditch effort to to prove ownership and to make sure people do not try to defraud others and sell their land or build on that land if no one is currently occupying it. So, what we found is one of the biggest issues, and I think, as you said, what was the kind of the barriers, is to try to bring on all of these service providers, all of these people that are very valuable into the real estate network. And if we want to create a blockchain system, we cannot just have the government be the only sense of truth and documentation right on the blockchain. So it's important to bring in the property developers, the law firms, the banks, the architects, the surveyors, all these groups who are going to be committing property documentation to be on the system, to be connected via smart contracts, and that every action involved in the transaction, not just the deed registration, will be recorded and then secured on the blockchain.
So we have a variety of people. Some of them are more technologists. Some of the people might be more interested in affordable housing who might be listening to this. We've used the term blockchain throughout the beginning part of this. Can we just take a step back for a moment and explain why did you decide to build Sesso on a blockchain, and what does that buy you?
Yeah, definitely. So if we think of blockchain as the simplest, the blockchain is a database that cannot be changed. It can be updated, but it cannot change the past transactions. So what we look at is an immutable registry and documentation. And people could argue that yes, other registries can be used to secure data efficiently and and verified. But when we look at, the issue in Ghana, Nigeria, and throughout the emerging markets, is that the blockchain is best, utilized when we have multiple parties that are key, that are important, or that are stakeholders in a transaction that don't know each other, that all are contributing documents that are going to be involved in the same transaction, and that will all need access to the documents of that are being submitted. So when we see the importance that, as we look back, all the different service providers, so this is a quick chart of all the groups that work in the Sesso ecosystem, is that how the blockchain is used on the Sesso platform is that any person that contributes a document, so a surveyor, a conveyancer, an architect, each of these transactions that are done either by the buyer or by the property developer, who is our key client, is recording the transaction as it goes, as it happens. This document is then put onto the blockchain, and we can trust and follow the historic transactions, as they go over long term. And what we also see is that, there's two concepts in land registry digitization. There's systematic titling, and so that will be going to the government or going door by door and getting documents or scanning them, or there's day forwarding. And so what day forwarding does, it creates a system that digitizes the registry through transactions. So what we look at is what's exciting with Sesso is that as someone does a title verification, as someone does a valuation, as someone buys and registers a property, all of these transactions are recorded and are digitizing the registry in a secure manner where we can track which party put the documentation onto the system, which person at the company logged in and did the work, and then we can track each part of that long term. And I even look at a situation is that, imagine if I'm I'm a homeowner in Ghana, I want to refinance my house after 15 years, and I go to show a building plan created 15 years ago, but the architect has died, the company has been bankrupt and defunct, and all I have is a piece of paper that says that this was an approved building plan. And so, we don't have, full trust on these documents that are sitting in silos that are key for the property process. So what the blockchain can provide is a way to bring on all of these service providers, record the documentation that was produced for the transaction, and build through transactions a trusted database that can be relied upon for future transactions, and potentially as a building block for the government when they're starting their digital registry.
Yeah, that's really helpful. So I know you've been around. Sesso has been around for a few years now. I'm still a startup, but a toddler, if you will. And I know you've moved into some different markets and probably have faced a few challenges along the way. Can you just share a little bit about what you thought when you started, what you found, and how you sort of pivoted around some of those challenges to date?
Definitely. And to give a bit of taste of what we're at, so we have two main solutions. We have our Property OS CRM, so it's a management solution for governments, developers, and agents to manage their portfolios, and then the marketplace where buyers can see these verified properties, buy the property, get a mortgage, or hire a service provider. So we've been trying to introduce these two products together in tandem, and I think that. Look, the main issue and I think difficulty has been, building out these ecosystems. And I do think that this is where a lot of blockchain land registry projects get it wrong. And, we were even having a chat before saying that in the real estate market, one issue is that there are so many different providers, so many different, groups, stakeholders that contribute to a real estate transaction. So the lawyer, the builder, the architect, the government, um, and so really, it is a key aspect is that we need all of them to participate and to be willing to join the platform, right onto the blockchain, contribute the documentation onto the blockchain. And so we really spent a lot of time trying to convince all the different stakeholders to come on board, understand like the importance, of the platform, understand the potential as it grows. And we felt that it was necessary to have each part of the group. And the other aspect, would just add is that, even though the blockchain, provides, trust, provides, transparency and can guarantee the documents are stored correctly, I don't think there's still enough education globally around really having blockchain be this end, a source of trust. So I think beyond getting people to, it goes, I think, a two-sided, coin on this aspect where you need the correct service providers and trusted parties to write onto the blockchain. So you're growing the database. But even when you have the blockchain, you need to make sure then, right, that that's backed up by the verified party. So even the blockchain itself, we can be sure the data being put on it was accurate and correct, and the people know the parties who are participating in the blockchain and trust them as well. As a company beyond the tech also. So building that ecosystem. And again, as I mentioned, I came to Ghana with the thought of a lot of land registry projects that we just need to digitize the government's titles, and that will solve all the problems. But what you see is like, that's generally far from the truth. And so what we really need is, I saw is that we need, and, Kwaku and Philip and the partners really, we put kind of the thoughts together is that we really need an ecosystem, and that brings all the stakeholders together. And that's where the blockchain really flourishes, by having multiple parties that are working together on a transaction, but aren't necessarily, trusting of each other.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things as part of FinTech for Good and the sustainable housing that we've sort of posited is one of the challenges in being an entrepreneur in this space is the very public-private partnership necessary, right? It can't be all government, it can't be all private. It's a matter of collaboration between those. So all interesting. So I think sort of my last question is just you know I there's been a tremendous downside obviously from COVID and health and all those other things, but one of the sort of side benefits for me is I get to meet people like you from my house here in my, outside of Washington D.C. and you're in Africa, and it feels like I'm meeting people from all over. How's the impact of COVID on your business?
Yeah, great question. And I do think in the beginning, of course, it was a bit difficult, like with the uncertainty especially, people looking at property investment, and thinking that is a good time to buy on our marketplace side, but especially on our CRM side, on the on for the developers and the government, we've seen a huge, uptick, a huge increase, in those wanting to go digital. So property developers, especially, who are looking for new channels, more ways to go online and increase their sales, increase their efficiency of their team. We've seen more, on the law firm side, on others. Buyers being more comfortable buying digitally. We've closed a few transactions of buyers who never even came to Nigeria, for instance, to buy the properties. And I also think the government, as budgets are being tightened among governments, they're looking at new ways to make money and new opportunities. And we always think that the land registry is something that could be so beneficial for a government, making money, transaction based, tax based. And so, we are seeing, more movement on the government side, looking at solutions. Here in South Africa, where I am, we're finalizing a relationship with one of the large city governments, who is now looking at how they, as you said, this whole private public thing, and they don't know where does it start, where does it end. And so the government in the city in South Africa is saying, we can do our part of holding the data, but we want a partner that's going to go out, bring on the data collectors, and input it into our platform, once it's through the verified sources. So I think, especially on the continent, we're going to see quite a lot of transformation and growth, and we're already seeing more and more people onboarding. And this was maybe potentially the leapfrog effect that people, talk about. And I'd say prop tech as a whole has really taken off this year. I think I see things in the US, Europe, Asia, but we're really just at the infancy stage of prop tech in Africa. And so I think that people are looking at new solutions right now. The developers, the governments, large scale players in our industry are looking at how they can get involved in tech. And I think it's a great time for what we're doing at Sesso, but other entrepreneurs in the blockchain in general, to use this energy to bring the stakeholders together to buy into a platform or a solution, or the technology that can benefit all of them. So I do think we're going to see some very interesting growth in the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all sort of feel that we've packed 5 years, the protected 5 years of development into the last 6 months, as you sort of have to have gone digital. And so congratulations on the fact that your platform was there and ready for that increase in demand. And hopefully it's a starting point for continued growth. And I don't know if you have a slide up there about just where people can find more information about Sesso, or
I think
anyway. Yep,
this is the presentation deck. So you can find out more at sesso.global. This is the site with a dot in the middle, sesso.global. And then you can always email us at info@sesso.global. And so any information, if you want to work together, opportunities in the space. Sesso is a technology provider, so we work on white labeling products, and really want to empower surveyors, developers, all of those looking for a solution to digitize and build trust in the real estate sector. Sesso can be the engine that drives it. And again, we are not the owners of the data. The users are the owners of the data. It's a blockchain-based system. And what we feel is that if people, as you said, as this acceleration comes, and those who normally on the surveying side, on others, were not as tech savvy, now can leverage tools and start building out, data layers that are going to be the foundations, of many things to come. So, I'm excited to see even I think we've had, some great success. Others are working on, but the groundwork that's being laid now, like you said, this 5 years and 6 months, it's going to, bring on a new, era of entrepreneurs, creators that are going to, work on the digital infrastructure that's being laid, and really, I think, scale up the progress in that.
Well, great. Thank you. This was really interesting. And I appreciate your time today and sharing a little bit more about Sesso with us.
Great.